This video is going to cover Wisdom's new quoting system, which should be pretty effective in getting a fairly accurate time to your customers of when they can expect their order. It's kind of a delicate balance. You don't want to quote them too high so that they aren't discouraged from ordering, but you don't want to give them false expectations as to when you can actually have the orders there. So, there's a lot of variations that happen when you're delivering from different restaurants that can be far away. They have different prep times, and so this quoting system should address those. So in the dispatch, there's this quote link you can click, and it'll open up a configurator that lists all of the restaurants, and you can see on a per restaurant basis what the quote time would be to a customer given all these different variables. So the basis of the system's quoting is it will take the park time of a restaurant, which is the time you have configured a driver takes to park. That can vary, depending on restaurant. The typical prep time of the restaurant, so that plus any temporary prep time. Example would be your driver goes to the restaurant to pick up an order, and he's like, wow, they're slammed. They're running 20 minutes behind on all orders for the next couple hours, so you could add 20 minutes for the next 2 hours in there to bump up the quote time for this particular restaurant. So park time plus prep time plus the temporary prep time, and plus Wisdom is going to calculate Google Maps directions, the amount of time it would take to get from the restaurant to the customer, and add that on its own. And that's will be different for every single order. This here in the configurator is just for you to plug in, what would the quote time be if the delivery was 1 mile away and an average of 25 miles an hour, that kind of thing. So I guess what we'll do is we'll go through some examples. So there's two things here that you can change on the fly. The first is the padding, and the padding is, just think of it as the amount of time it would take you from the moment the customer clicks checkout to have the order confirmed at the restaurant and a driver on the way to that restaurant. That is what you want to set your padding to. So, say that's 15 minutes. Now all of a sudden the quote time will be all of these plus the drive plus your padding. The range lets you say, once all that's calculated, you can have an exact range, which says the order will be there in 47 minutes, or you can say like a range of 10 minutes, which will make it so that the customer will be quoted, 47 to 57 minutes. Usually you want to use a range if you're doubling and tripling up orders, because when you double up an order, the quote time is going to be based on as if it were a single order, and it might take 10 or 15 minutes additionally when the driver is doing multiple runs to deliver that. So that's when a range is particularly useful, is when you're really busy and you're doubling and tripling up runs. So I guess we'll go through on some examples. Here I have some orders. An order from Chili's built. The time is 4:02 right now. I'll hit checkout, and right now it's giving me an estimated time of 4:41 to 5:46. So on the back end, in Chili's, you can see that's not exactly like that, because this particular run is 1 mile. So I'll change it to 1 mile, and you can see that what the customer is getting here on the front end is corresponding to what this configurator is telling you for a mile. So say you change your padding to just 5 minutes. That's going to change it. Now it's 4:31, start of the range, and that would reflect to the customer as well. And same with all these. Increasing or decreasing these would increase or decrease the total, just depending on what restaurant the customer ordered from. And that is pretty much it. One other thing that's been added is in the order lookup. If you look up orders, it's now got a plus or minus quoted field. That negative means that this order was delivered 34 minutes under what it was quoted. There's also a late button here. I don't think there are any late orders in here, but you can check mark late and search for late orders as well in the order lookup that correspond to the quote times.